Hey, save our children, arrest the cops who murdered Breonna Taylor, and wear a fucking mask. Mental health is an extremely overlooked factor of someone's well being, especially in men. I'm annoyed with the topic too, but just hear me out. From when we are born, hopefully you are taught that we need to take care of our bodies. We have to eat healthy, get proper exercise, get proper sleep, etc. The same thing is with the mind. We are very intelligent and cognitive creatures, to the point it can actually be dangerous for us. Let's be honest, not everyone grows up living a stellar life. Sometimes things happen throughout our lives or even before birth that just completely shape the people we are and who we become. When I think about mental health, it's common to immediately think about mental illness or a specific mental disorder, but it can be much more complex than that. You can live your life without depression or any kind of mental ailment, but a traumatic experience you've had when you were little could produce a bad habit you might have today. Or maybe you grow up not being able to talk about how you feel because of the conditions in your childhood. Stuff like this is especially prominent in men, and I feel like it's something that should be talked about. You know, there's a reason that people throw around the phrase toxic masculinity, as annoying as it may be. That's because it's a very real thing. Let me start by saying there's nothing wrong with being masculine. Nothing at all. The problem lies when you have a group of ideals that doesn't really do any good for you besides project your insecurities and or bigoted behavior based on the ideas of being a man. This includes but is not limited to the many expectations of man. See, here are some common rules to being a man. You gotta be strong, you gotta be a provider, you can't be gay, you can't do anything girly, you can't show emotions. I could go on and pick apart why each of these rules are bullshit. But what I'm trying to get at here is that thinking this way can be incredibly toxic. Now, how does that relate into a man's mental health? Well, for one, it can warp our minds into doing and experiencing things that are negative to our growth as people. It creates bullies, homophobes, shit, dare I even say sociopaths. Now, let me close in on that first and last rule. You gotta be strong and you can't show emotions. Due to ideas like these, a lot of men think that they have to tough out any kind of mental or emotional hardship. And oftentimes, it's expected of them. Men are scared to do things like talk to someone about their feelings because to us, it shows weakness. I'd argue there's nothing manlier than being able to show vulnerability and own up to it. Of course, toxic masculinity isn't the only thing that plagues our mental health. That's just setting the stage for why some of us are the way we are. It doesn't help that it's not uncommon to be expressing how you feel and just get straight up ignored, made fun of, or have it thrown back in your face. See, without a doubt, women have harder lives than us. I know, what a hot take. But that could also lead to people invalidating the difficult life experiences of being a man. See, while some men are afraid to seem weak, some of us are afraid to be invalidated. Or, like I mentioned, ignored, made fun of, or to have it thrown in our face. There's definitely a dynamic to how people react to when a woman is feeling depressed, when a man is feeling depressed. Now, what does this mean? Well, I couldn't just blame societal norms for things being the way they are. I think a good solution to this would be if more men had somewhat of a support group or the proper guidance that would prepare them for hardship. My point being that while toxic masculinity might set the stage, the lack of support for men's mental health just spins into what could end up being a tragic episodes of events. And of course, the resources are there, but they are discouraged because of, once again, toxic masculinity, or traits of it. I feel like a lot of shit could be solved if people just talked about the stuff that bothers them, and, actually listened. Maybe you should talk to your friend when they're sad instead of just offering them some weed. Maybe you could go to therapy and talk about your traumatic past so that you don't have to repeat history with children of your own. Maybe you should stick up for someone being bullied instead of laughing along with them. If you want to do better in life, to be seen as a good man or to just be an overall better person, you gotta be okay with being vulnerable. You gotta unpack your trauma. You gotta work towards making yourself a better person. Because, let me tell you, the horror stories that I hear from women about men, that shit is very real. Because, let's face it, a lot of us men are batshit crazy.
When it look like
like envy. Wonder what trash on niggas gon' send me. You talk about Debbie, nigga that sent me. Ronnie your death like a nigga kill Kenny. You kill about any, tone out many. Dudes let model you, niggas against me. Niggas gon' flock around, nigga, toss around. Get shit into a Debbie. Run. Nigga, you dropping the ball, nigga, you suck, you not Scottie Pippen. Look at your Fitbit, not even fit, bitch. Come from my hustle, but he sucking on lip dick. Go back to the kitchen, it's joking on misogyny. I don't even show you, nigga, the side of me. I was so gullible, then you had to lie to me. Pretend you're scared cause I thought you hit the lottery. Now I don't bother him.